Trouble is coming to Heartland, and this time, it rides in with a storm of anger. In Episode 9, the idea of revenge is no longer just a word. It's a force that reaches every corner of the ranch. One small choice from the past is about to return, and when it does, it threatens to shake the peace Amy and her family have fought so hard to protect. Revenge has a way of slipping into people's lives quietly, but once it arrives, it leaves a long shadow. And Episode 9 of Heartland Season 19 is built entirely around that shadow. The episode picks up right where the tension of Episode 8 left off. But now the tone is sharper, heavier, and far more personal. The calm morning at the ranch feels different. The horses sense it. The family senses it. Everyone moves with a little more caution, as if they know something is waiting just past the horizon. The narrator guides the viewer through this shift, explaining that the peace at Heartland is starting to crack. Someone is holding on to anger. Someone who feels wronged. And that person is ready to strike back. Every character, Milu, Tim, Jack, will feel the effect of this pressure. The story positions revenge not as a loud explosion, but as a slow burn. It's a kind that changes people before they even notice. This section sets up the emotional weight of the entire episode. It shows how revenge doesn't always start with violence. Sometimes it begins with a look, a message, a rumor, or a memory that never healed. The audience is pulled into the idea of that episode. 9 is not just about conflict, it's about the cost of letting anger take control. As the narrator continues, the camera would move across the ranch scenery. A fence slightly broken. A horse pacing nervously, the sky heavy with clouds. These visuals signal that something is off. The ranch is usually a place of comfort, but in this episode, it becomes a stage where hidden feelings finally come to the surface. The narrator ends the section by reminding viewers that revenge is powerful, but unpredictable. It never hits only the person it targets, it spreads, touching everyone nearby. And at Heartland, where every life is connected, even a single act of vengeance can create ripples that no one can stop. Amy has always believed that calm, patience, and understanding can fix almost anything, but Episode 9 challenges that belief in a way she never expected. The day begins like any other at Heartland, yet something feels wrong. A horse refuses to settle, reacting to every sound with sudden fear. Amy studies the animal closely, sensing that its behavior is more than a simple training issue. It feels like a warning. As she works, a piece of news reaches her, something small, but sharp enough to unsettle her. Someone she crossed paths with earlier in the season is stirring up trouble again. And this time, their actions seem driven by something deeper than frustration. They want payback. The moment Amy hears this, her expression shifts. Not in anger, but in concern. She knows how dangerous revenge can be, especially when it's directed at the ranch. The horses or the people she loves. The scene builds with a slow tension. Amy walks through the barn, her boots echoing softly. The light is dimmer than usual, almost symbolic, hinting at the emotional cloud forming over her. She doesn't say much, but viewers can sense her worry through her movements. Careful, focused, a little heavier than before. Her mind races through all the possibilities. Who would try to hurt Heartland? Why now? And what did she do, intentionally or not, to trigger this? What makes Amy's arc powerful in this episode is the inner conflict she faces. She has always chosen forgiveness over anger, compassion over confrontation. But now, the threat is close, and she must decide whether to protect her world by holding on to her values, or by fighting back. It's a test of character that digs deeper than any training, challenge, or personal struggle she has handled before. The tension grows as Amy finds signs that someone has been near the ranch: footprints by the fence, a disturbed gate, a nervous horse that acts as though it remembers something frightening. These subtle clues add layers to the mystery, pushing Amy into a place where she cannot ignore the danger anymore. She knows she must take action, but she also fears what stepping into conflict could turn her into as the section closes. Amy takes a steady breath, determined but uneasy. She knows revenge has entered her story, whether she wants it or not. And the real question becomes not what will happen next, but how far she is willing to go to protect. Heartland, when the past threatens to strike again. Lou has faced public pressure before, but episode 9 pushes her into one of the toughest corners she's been in for a long time. The episode shows her waking up to a wave of messages, emails, calls, and complaints all pointing to the same thing. Someone is using her recent decisions against her. It starts quietly, like a rumor spreading on the wind, but quickly grows into something hostile. Lou has built her life on trying to do the right thing, but now the very choice she believed would help the community is turning into a weapon, aimed right at her. She steps into her office with determination, but the tension in her shoulders tells a different story. Papers are stacked with notes and reports she has read a dozen times, trying to find where things went wrong. But this isn't just politics anymore, this feels personal. Someone isn't upset about the decision itself. They're upset at her, and they want her to pay for it. This is where the theme of revenge hits her storyline the hardest. The scene shifts as Lou attends a small-town meeting. People whisper, some look away. Others stare with cold eyes that weren't there before. She tries to stay calm, tries to keep her voice steady as she explains her intentions, but the room feels heavy with resentment. A single voice from the crowd throws a pointed comment, something sharp enough to silence everyone. Lou feels it like a strike, not because it's loud, because it's fueled by anger that has been building in secret. As she heads back to Heartland, Lou's mind is full of questions. Did she push the wrong person too far? Is someone twisting her choices to hurt her reputation? And why does this feel less like a disagreement and more like someone trying to get even? The worry follows her like a shadow. The writing highlights Lou's emotional struggles. She wants to stand her ground. But she's also afraid of how far this revenge might go. She knows the community relies on her, but she also knows that trust is fragile. Once it cracks, it rarely returns to the way it once was. Even worse, she worries how this tension might spill over into her family's life on the ranch, driving along the open road. Lou glances at the mountains, searching for calm. But the peace she usually finds there feels out of reach. She realizes revenge doesn't always arrive with yelling or threats. Sometimes it arrives with silence, with people turning their backs, with a slow erosion of support until you feel alone. By the end of this section, Lou stands at a crossroads: fight the lies and push back, or step carefully and risk appearing weak. Either way, she knows this won't be a simple political mess. Someone wants her to feel the weight of their anger. And episode 9 shows exactly how that pressure begins tightening around her. Tim has never been afraid of confrontation, but episode 9 forces him into a battle he thought he'd left behind years ago. The tension starts the moment he spots a familiar truck parked near the rodeo grounds. Dusty, and carrying the kind of presence that makes his jaw tighten. He knows exactly who it belongs to, and the sight of it alone pulls up a wave of memories he's tried to bury. Memories tied not to mistakes, but to grudges. The episode takes its time revealing the truth, letting the camera linger on Tim's reaction. His expression shifts, not fear, not anger, but something in between. Something that only shows up when a man meets a piece of his past he hoped would never return. The feeling is heavy, like the ground beneath him just tilted. He keeps his distance, pretending he doesn't care. But the effort looks painful. As he walks back toward the arena, his steps are quick and restless. He remembers the fights, the arguments, the rivalry that once pushed him into decisions he regrets. This person from his past wasn't just a competitor. They were someone who believed Tim once cost them something important. And now, it seems, they're back for payback. Meanwhile, the rodeo staff sense something is off with Tim. His voice is sharper. His focus split, and he keeps checking over his shoulder as if expecting trouble. This is where episode 9 plays with the theme of revenge in a deep, personal way. Tim isn't afraid of a fight, but he is afraid of losing control. He knows himself. He knows how quickly anger can turn into action, and he fears that one wrong move will drag him back into the person he used to be. The episode shows subtle signs of the brewing storm. Emergency lights flicker on outside the arena. A loud bang echoes from behind the stables, and a few workers whisper about the man who's been asking for Tim. The atmosphere tightens with each passing moment. Tim finally confronts the situation, but not directly. He stands near the fence line, watching the sunset dip behind the hills. Breathing hard like he's preparing for a hit he knows is coming, the scene captures him in a rare moment of vulnerability. For once, he's not worried about winning. He's worried about whether he can keep everything from falling apart. The episode shows subtle signs of the brewing storm. Emergency lights flicker on outside the arena. A loud bang echoes from behind the stables, and a few workers whisper about the man who's been asking for Tim. The atmosphere tightens with each passing moment. Tim finally confronts the situation, but not directly. He stands near the fence line, watching the sunset dip behind the hills, breathing hard like he's preparing for a hit he knows is coming. The scene captures him in a rare moment of vulnerability. For once, he's not worried about winning. He's worried about whether he can keep everything from falling apart. As viewers, feel the pressure closing in on him. Someone from his past is coming closer, carrying anger that has been growing for years. And unlike others at Heartland, Tim understands exactly how dangerous a person driven by revenge can be. The section ends with a powerful shot. Tim standing alone in the fading light, fists clenched at his sides, knowing that the next step he takes could either fix an old wound or reopen one that never healed. While the main conflicts swirl around Amy, Lou, and Tim. Episode 9 quietly sets fire to the smaller storyline subplots that begin softly but grow into something powerful. These moments may seem small at first, but each one ties into the theme of revenge in its own surprising way, revealing how even the most private choices can pull the whole ranch. Into danger, the tension starts with Logan. He's been trying hard to prove himself this season, but episode 9 shows the price of a mistake he hoped everyone had forgotten. He finds a note left at the edge of the barn's short, messy handwriting, but packed with anger. It's not a threat, but it's clear enough that someone feels he wronged them. Logan stares at it for a long moment, trying to understand who might be holding on to that kind of resentment. He wants to shrug it off, tell himself it doesn't matter. But the message sticks to him like a weight he can't shake. At the same time, Katie faces her own challenge. A misunderstanding with a friend at school grows into something much darker online. A post, a picture, a comment taken out of context, spread by someone who seems intent on embarrassing her. Katie doesn't know why she's being targeted, and the confusion turns into hurt. She tries to hide it, acting like she doesn't care, but Jack notices the worry in her eyes. The episode uses her story to show how revenge can play out quietly in the modern world, spreading through screens rather than fights. Parker, on the other hand, tries to solve a conflict before it grows. She senses the tension in the air and steps in to help where she can, comforting Katie. I'm checking on Logan, even trying to keep the mood light around the ranch. But her attempts reveal something unexpected. Someone outside the family has been watching Heartland, more closely than anyone realized. A comment from a stranger, a question too specific. A glance that lasts too long. Parker picks up on these moments, and though she can't explain them, they add to the unease building around the ranch. And then there's Jack. Episode 9 gives him a quieter but deeply meaningful role. He sees everything happening around him, the fear, the frustration, the anger bubbling under the surface, and he becomes the steady anchor the others don't even realize they're clinging to. Jack knows revenge better than anyone. He's lived long enough to understand how it starts, how it grows, and how it destroys the person holding it. His wisdom becomes a silent shield. But even he can feel that something bigger is coming. These subplots weave together like thin threads tightening into a single knot. Logan's warning, Katie's online trouble, Parker's instincts, Jack's experience, all point to one truth. The danger isn't coming from just one direction. It's spreading across the ranch, reaching every character in a different way. By the end of the section, the atmosphere at Heartland feels charged, like the quiet moments before a storm. No one knows exactly what's coming, but everyone can sense the same thing. Someone out there wants to settle a score, and their actions are about to collide with the lives of everyone at the ranch. Episode 9 builds its intensity not through loud explosions of drama, but through the small, chilling moments that slip in when no one is looking. Section 6 brings these fragments together quick. Sharp glimpses of the danger creeping closer to Heartland. These aren't full scenes. They're flashes of truth, Kind that make your heart beat faster because you know something is wrong, even if you can't explain why. The first teaser moment comes late in the evening. A slamming door echoes across the yard, but when Amy turns around, there's no wind strong enough to cause it. The barn lights flicker for a split second, throwing shadows across the hay bales. A horse lets out a startled cry, backing away from the empty aisle as if someone just walked past. Amy steps forward slowly, her voice low and calming, but her eyes say what she refuses to admit someone. It's been here. Another teaser focuses on Lou. She sits alone in her office, reviewing documents, when her screen suddenly goes black. A notification pops up. It's not threatening, not direct, but it's enough to freeze her breath. A phrase that only someone involved in her past decision would know. Someone is watching her moves carefully. This message is their way of saying they're closer than she thinks. Tim's moment is harsher. He's out by the rodeo corral, checking equipment, when he hears footsteps behind him. Steady, slow, intentional. He spins around, ready for confrontation, but the space is empty open air and silence. But lying in the dirt is something he recognizes immediately. An old, worn rodeo bandana tied in the style of a man he once fought with. A man who never forgave him. Tim stares at it for a long time, the color draining from his face. It feels like a warning left on purpose. Katie gets her own brief but powerful reveal. As she walks through the school hallway, she sees a group of students whispering, glancing at her, then looking away. One of them holds up a phone just long enough for her to catch a glimpse of her own picture altered, captioned and meant to hurt. The sting hits hard, and she realizes this isn't just bullying. Someone wants her to feel small. For Logan, the moment is almost silent. He's sweeping the barn floor when he notices a boot print near the back door. Print too large to be his, too fresh to ignore. He compares it to his own footprint and feels a cold shiver run through him. Whoever left that mark wasn't just passing through, they were waiting. Watching. Jack's teaser is the quietest but the most unsettling. He steps onto the porch with a cup of coffee, gazing across the dark fields. The night is still, but he senses something moving far out near the tree line. A figure, maybe, or a shadow. Jack doesn't panic. He simply narrows his eyes, knowing from a lifetime of experience that sometimes the most dangerous threats say nothing at all. Together. These split-second moments build a picture of Episode 9 that is far more intense than any single scene could show. They reveal a truth the characters are only beginning to understand. Revenge is already at their doorstep. Slipping into their lives with quiet steps and hidden intentions. By the time Episode 9 reaches its final stretch, the calm around Heartland has completely cracked. The feeling of safety that once wrapped the ranch like a warm blanket is gone, replaced by a tension so thick it seems to cling to the air itself. This last section pulls every storyline together, showing how the pressure of revenge presses down on each character until they can barely breathe. The ranch grows unusually quiet as the day edges toward dusk. The sun sinks behind the hills, casting long shadows across the yard, and everything feels heavier. Amy stands near the paddock, staring at the horses, as if hoping they'll tell her what's coming next. She senses the shift. The animals, always honest in their fear, have been restless all day. Their unease mirrors what's happening inside her. A storm building. One she can't calm with a gentle touch or a soft word. Lou, exhausted from fighting battles she didn't choose, steps out of her office and leans against the doorframe. She tries to push away the doubt creeping through her mind, but the message she received earlier lingers like a bruise. For the first time in a long while, she wonders if someone truly wants to see her fall. It's a lonely thought, one that wraps around her like cold wind. Tim walks through the rodeo grounds with clenched fists. It's clear he's preparing for something, whether it's a conversation or a confrontation. He doesn't know. But the bandana left behind earlier is burned into his memory. He knows that when a man from his past shows up, it's never to talk. It's always to settle something. And this time, Tim fears it won't end cleanly. Inside the house, Katie sits at the table, staring at her phone, fighting the sinking feeling in her chest. She's trying to be strong, telling herself it's just online stuff. But deep down, she knows it's part of something bigger. Someone is pushing her, trying to break her confidence. She wipes away frustrated tears. Knowing the pain won't disappear overnight, Logan helps Jack fix a latch on the barn door. But even their usual calm teamwork feels different. Logan keeps glancing over his shoulder, searching the shadows for answers. Jack says little, but the way he studies the edges of the property shows he feels the same thing. The danger isn't distant. It's close. Too close.